spectrum, or even your loved ones, not just your children, because we're learning that there's some adults that are falling on that spectrum. And when I tell you, I believe after having my babies and seeing how they act, or maybe I've just kind of like turned into them. I don't know, picked up some of the things, some of their icks. I don't know. I can't stand the lawnmower anymore. Any of those things I can't stand. So anyway, let's stay on task. If you have been watching, you know I do not stay on task. I'm not real good at that. But anyway, so I wanted to kind of cover a couple of things. I wanted to kind of go over a couple of items in relation to my kids. More so Aurora right now. We'll cover Bubba, or Cameron is his name. I've been calling him Bubba since he was a little tink. No bigger than this. And Mommy's the only one, and a few others get to call him Bubba. But we're gonna talk about Aurora because I'm gonna put some clips in. We'll go through a couple of things as Aurora grew up, some of the things that I saw that she did, some of the things that stuck out to me in comparison. And I want to lay the groundwork a little bit. And remember, our story does not necessarily mean that's your story. It does not mean that it's your struggle or what you are going through. But I will say, if nothing else, rather your child is on a spectrum or not, remember, we are their biggest advocates. And so if you don't think that something is right, say something. They tell you that in the airport, okay? So if you can do it in the airport, I know you can do it. I know you can do it for your babies, okay? So first and foremost, I was pregnant with Aurora. I got pregnant with her after 2 miscarriages and 2 successful pregnancies. My oldest was born in 2009. The only thing wrong in that aspect was she took my beauty, as the old people would say. She took my beauty. I was a hot mess, and I'll leave it there. She stole it all. But outside of that, pregnancy was pretty much complication-free. My son, oh child, I thought I was stunting on him. I had to do my makeup every day. I got dressed every day. Until like towards the end, I got sick. So really no issues there. Didn't think anything about him possibly being on a spectrum or having autism until late in the pregnancy, and it hit me like, he could probably have it. But then comes Aurora after 2 miscarriages. And I will say, it's funny looking back now. I just always felt after I had Cam that I wasn't done. And I had to have one more. So I got pregnant. My OBGYN at the time, because I'd had 2 miscarriages, she had me come in, and I think she was giving me progesterone at that time. And if you watch my breast cancer video, you'll see, I don't know if there's a correlation, but she was giving me progesterone in the beginning to kind of keep my hormones increasing to make the pregnancy viable. We'll also kind of get into the fact that I was considered to be a high-risk pregnancy with her, because at that point, I did pretty well outside of, I was sick all the time. I couldn't walk. I had the sciatica problems. I had to do physical therapy. She did all the things. She gave me, tachycardia, rapid heartbeat. She did all of those things. So when Aurora came, I also, out of all of my children, all my pregnancies that completed, so like with Brooklyn, she was 10 days late and still wasn't trying to come out. Never really had contractions until they gave me the Pitocin. And Cam, because Brooke was late, I got to have him by C-section, but I was feeling fine. Like I told you, I was sick, I was cold, I had a cold, but that was really it. Aurora said, I'm gonna give you something. You said it's your last pregnancy? Okay, so let me show you what a contraction feels like. And I'm gonna give them to you every 5 minutes. Even though I got a date to come out of here, I'm gonna show you what it feels like. So, and then when she came out, or when we finally had my baby, you know, I had that same thought, but I didn't really worry when I found out Aurora was a girl, because I kind of felt like, well, you know, they say it's rare to see girls be diagnosed with autism. And as you dig a little deeper into that fact, the issue is not that it's harder, it's just that they don't exist. It's just harder to identify in girls than it is in boys typically. So a lot of times with boys, you'll find those things that kind of stick out, whereas a girl can mask hers a little differently. I will say that I noticed some things with Aurora that she would do, and I'm mad that I don't have any recordings of it. She would do this thing with her head, even as an infant, where she would kind of do it to the side like something was wrong. And so when you mention it to your loved ones, I'm like, okay, you're just overreacting. You think Bubba has this, da, 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 da. And I'm like, no, it's not okay. It's something off. And because their pediatrician was already on high alert from Cam, she knew I was on high alert from Cam, she pretty much listens. And for the most part, she listened even when I had my qualms about Cam. But the notion with boys a lot of times is boys learn slower. You can't compare them. The kids are two different people, all the things. But when I saw Aurora do that, that kind of stuck out to me. And then some of the red flags started to come out. Some of those things started to pop up, and I noticed that, like, pay attention, it's not right. She didn't start walking until like 2 or 3 weeks before she turned 2, which was Cam was diagnosed with a delay, but he started walking at 9 months. So like before, he was like exceeding the targets. He was surpassing the expectations. So that was another thing that made them say, oh, he's just a boy, he's just a boy. He hasn't been to daycare. He's home with you guys. You all know how to, if he cries, you will go running. So he doesn't have to talk. Okay, here we are. But then, so with Aurora wasn't walking. She wasn't talking. She only said Elmo. And I tell a story, and anybody who's talked to me will know, and probably in some of my other videos I said, she only would say Elmo. So she's been a mimicker for a long time, but we've been doing speech. So once we realized that something wasn't right, we started with the speech. Physical therapy, I sing her praises all the time. I know I sing the praises of Duke Medical Facility all the time, but I'm really singing the praises of our physical therapist. And we'll kind of hit on her a little bit later as well, because I'll talk about how she came back to help us. But she did not care that when she pulled into my driveway and rang that doorbell, you could literally hear Aurora cry, because she knew that that's who was at the door. She didn't back down. She didn't care that mommy and daddy was there. She didn't care about none of the things. She got out there and made my baby walk and work to walk, okay? So had I had her earlier, she probably would have walked before she was almost 2 years old, but it is what it is. So we had the speech, we had physical therapy. Once she turned 3, she was able to get tested by the school system. So Durham County offers the testing, so she got tested. They did say that she is on the spectrum. And those meetings, even though you know why you're going there, they are so hard. Excuse me, y'all. They're hard as a parent to hear that your child has something that could possibly, it's not a handicap, We handicap them sometimes, but it's still hard to hear that your child will have something that could potentially prevent them from doing anything. So, but they did diagnose her at 3. So my baby had the luck of being born right before a world shuts down. And so she starts pre-K, because they give her that. They give kids that are on the special needs, they get the opportunity to start pre-K at no cost, but it's not every day, depending on the severity of whatever it is they have. And when I look at Cam, when he was in school, when he started school, because we waited and we let people tell us to wait. We let people play in our faces, the young people would say. But when he finally got started, after being home with mom and dad and sis, his speech ability is totally different, even to this day, compared to Aurora, who only could really say 1 or 2 words to get her points across. Now you like, please be quiet. Now she's not, and she's getting better with it. She still does a lot of mimicking, a lot of, you talk, I'm gonna talk too. I'm gonna copy what you say, and good or bad. And this thing, they always pick up the bad. So you gotta watch what you say around her, because you're gonna be a bee and all these different things. You try not to laugh, because it's not funny, and you don't want her to get to school and say the wrong thing. She hits. So we don't do any type of punishment that requires a spanking or nothing like that, because I don't want to get called, because Aurora decided she wants to whoop her classmate for not doing what she wants them to do. So, but let's stay on track. So she had the luck of being born right before the panorama. That November, the world shut down that March or April. So she had about, 3-4 months of school in person, a couple of days a week, and then everybody was home. It didn't really hurt too bad for her. It hurt my oldest, because once again, she's a social butterfly, and that would have been her middle school year. And so those middle school years for her were rough. So we'll get on another subject about teenagers another day. Heaven help. But okay. So she was home. She did homeschool with Aurora, because my husband was working from home. I was working from home. Brooklyn's going to class. Bubba's going to class. So everybody trying to make sure somebody is doing what they're supposed to. Aurora would get on the camera and shut it. And at the time, because the world had shut down, all trainings were done via Zoom. So I'm the trainer. I was the trainer for my job, or my area at my job, and I'm trying to train. I'm trying to get my baby to be on camera. And when she got tired of them, she was like, clink. She just shut it down. She'd be like, I ain't talking. But they need us to help get her back, but I'm doing my own thing. It was a mess. So thank goodness we eventually got her into school where she should have been, and she's doing well. But I did want to kind of go over some of the statistics, and I'm going to put them up on the screen, and we're going to keep talking about Aurora. But some current stats for autism is 1 in 36 kids will be identified as having autism. So that means you in a mall, every 36 person has or could potentially be on the spectrum. And I really believe there's a lot of people, because you think as time gets better, just like I've mentioned in other videos when we talk about how technology has gotten better with testing and prevention for breast cancer and different types of cancers. So everybody's on alert. But think of it, probably your auntie, your uncle, your mama, your daddy, they probably could be on the spectrum, but in them days they called it something else. It might have been Asperger's. It could have been something else, but because that spectrum is so vast, we all probably have some of those tendencies. We all have some of those things. I know I do. I keep saying it. I'm telling you, I know I do. I don't like crowds. I don't like loud noises like that anymore. I really don't like to come out the house that much if I can help it. But I have a job that's outside the house. It kind of helps me. So based on these stats, it says that we are now up 241% since the year 2000. So it proves the point. Is it possible that maybe it was more people that could have been or should have been identified as having autism? Because this is the thing I like to point out. They're intelligent. They're super intelligent. It's just that they process the information just a little bit differently. That's really all. Like, my baby is smart. She's smart enough to be slick, if nothing else. And so the next thing is 40% are nonverbal, 44% have average or above average intellectual ability. So it's nothing wrong if you are worried. And it's a lot of people, and we'll come back to that. It's a lot of people that I've noticed that are ashamed or worried about what somebody else might think, and so they don't like to talk about it. It's like the cousin who daddy, you know, everybody in the family believe that their dad is somebody else, but he don't know or she don't know, so everybody quiet and they talk about it, hush hush. It's like, oh, you know, Candace, her kids I don't care. I would tell you this, and everybody in my house, kids included, can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, I am their biggest cheerleader. I will go and I will bop somebody for my kids. Let them play with me or them. They don't want no smoke. I promise you they don't want no smoke. But yeah, so these are interesting facts. And then 31% also have an intellectual disability. So if you feel like your baby or babies, because I would never thought I would have 2 babies that were special needs, but I do. And both are unique. All 3 are unique. Even without Brooklyn having an identified special need, she is unique as well. They all have something and require something different from both me and their fathers. So it is what it is. So with Aurora, she started school. Things that she does STEM. She does have STEM, and we'll cover that on another video. This one is kind of long, so I'm gonna stop eventually. One of the things that I was mentioning, so how I mentioned that we had the physical therapist come back, and her name was Miss Marty. She hated to see Miss Marty coming, but eventually she was like, open the door, here come Miss Marty. So we eventually got Rose to walk, and she was going up the steps, but baby, she was not coming down the steps. She wasn't coming at all. So I got on my handy dandy phone and I was like, Miss Marty, we need you immediately. We'll pay you ourselves. We'll let you file it to our insurance. Whatever you need to do, Miss Marty, please come back. Because she won't come down. And as you'll be able to see, as more videos kind of come out with her in them, she's a little chunky chunk. She's my chunky chunk. She's put on weight, and she's kind of put on weight because of her medication. And she didn't want to walk down them steps. And I know I stopped carrying her a long time ago, but the daddy was still trying to do it. I'm like, oh, you gotta come help us, Miss Marty. You gotta come help us. So Miss Marty came, and when I tell you she had my daughter going down the steps by herself within maybe a week or 2 of her coming, because she wouldn't let, see, we caved in. I know I caved in. Girl, do something. She could come punch me in my stomach right now. I'm be mad. But then she'll look at me. It's just like the Sour Patch Kids. She is the living proof, real life Sour Patch Kid. She start off sour and she turns to you, just be like, come here, just come here. Burns my oldest son. She's like, she just such and such and such a. Yeah, she did. But look at her, she's so sweet. So pray for me. I need help. But anyway, so she's going down the steps. Something else that's a hurdle for us is her hair. I know sometime in Vlogtober we're gonna cover that. I got some video from yesterday that I was going to use, but I don't think that's a good one. No, I don't think it's a good one. But we'll incorporate it at some point, because it's imperative. It's imperative that I figure out what's going to work. I am at the point where I want to cut it off, give her a baby teeny weeny afro, put a little something in it, some little zhuzh, and let it do what it do. Cause I'm tired of hurting her. I know it's sensory overload. We got her leaning back. We got her leaning on the couch. I mean, on the couch, on the counter, into a sink where water is loud around her head. We're also doing things to her hair. On her head. So it's like sensory overload on top of overload on top of overload. Then we get to talking and she don't want us to talk. That's another thing. So it's a mess. So any autism, special needs, mamas and daddies that can help. Please don't be shy. Load us up with the comments. We appreciate it. I'm going to end. Like I said, I don't want these to be long. We're already at 20 minutes, and my goal was really to make them like 15 if I can help it. So I'll be back tomorrow, and instead of a breast cancer vlog, I'll give you my breast cancer facts. I've been adding them to my shorts. Even though I've been doing the long form videos, I've still been doing daily breast cancer facts. I do want to encourage all my sisters and brothers to go out. Make sure that you are telling your moms, your dads, your aunties, your uncles, anybody, to make sure if they haven't had an annual mammogram yet, make sure that they've scheduled it for the year. Also, that every month that they, as long as they still have breast tissue and breast, they should be doing self-examinations, okay? Because no one knows our body, just like no one knows our babies better than we do, and our loved ones, because everybody don't have babies, but still, just make sure that you are doing your self-exams, because if you're gonna end up with it, we don't want it, but if we get it, we want to catch it early. And those mammograms are going to be essential, because I don't know if I mentioned this already, I had 0 symptoms. I'm torn because I had surgery. I've told y'all this before. I had surgery on my boobs and a reduction on my tatas, and I would get these little shocks of pain, but I just kind of attributed it to the surgery and nerve endings and all that stuff kind of connecting back to where it should be, So I can't really say. That's what's the downside. So I don't know. But for those people that don't have any symptoms but still end up getting that diagnosis, if you can prevent it any earlier from spreading any further, get tested. Touch the tatas. Also, I want you guys to like, comment, and share. And guess what? We have 100 followers. 100. And y'all acting like, oh, you probably like, oh, she geeked over 100. I sure am. I appreciate every one of you. I do. And you know what else I'll appreciate? I'll appreciate you even more when you share, comment, and like. All right? Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. Check your tatas.